welcome to today's session hosted by Girls Leading Tech. We are excited to have with us Pranav Bhatt,
Good
an
evening.
active, good evening, good evening. So we are excited to have with us Pranav Bhatt, an active contributor to ESOC and at Time, and a winner of It's India 2024. Today he will be sharing his journey from applicant to contributor, giving us insight into breaking into open source and making impactful contribution. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Kavil, for welcoming me. I'll start this session by uh, presenting whatever I've prepared for you guys. Uh, yeah. So I'll just share my screen. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah, I'll just present it. Yeah. So yeah. Good evening to everyone. Whoever is attending this meeting. I'm Pranav, and just a brief intro about me. I'm currently the student going into my third year. I'm doing my BTech in Information Technology at NIT Karnataka. And yeah, so the reason I'll be taking the session for you guys is because I've been contributing to open source for quite a while now. And I'd like to take you guys through the process of how I went from an applicant to a contributor and some tips and maybe some help that I can give you from my side about getting into these open source programs and European Summer of Code in specific. Let's get into it. So the things we'll be covering in the session is first we'll cover what is European Summer of Code, and then why is open source so interesting and in the hype right now, and why ESOC. So also how is it different from GSOC and other programs? How to get started with open source contributions and how to find the right organization for you and some do's and don'ts of open source and some etiquettes that you must follow while contributing to the open source community. So before we start, I'd just like to make it clear that I'm not official representative or mentor for the European Summer of Code. So I can't guarantee 100% clarity and accuracy of all the details that I mentioned in this meet, but most of it will be credible. For more information, you can refer this link. This is the official website link for European Summer of Code. And yeah, that's the disclaimer that I can give. And yeah, so we'll begin the session with what is ESOC. So ESOC or European Summer of Code is similar to other programs like GSOC, and it funds stipends for contributors who are new to open source and matches projects to you with your skills. And most of these projects are AI projects which are located in various organizations and companies throughout Europe. So the program is currently a very new program. It was introduced almost 2 to 3 months ago, so it is very new and it is currently in its first year. So you can't expect much out of it, but yeah, it is a really good program, and it is open to all open source contributors and developers across the globe. So it's quite a good opportunity for people, especially in India, considering that we have a very vibrant open source community in our country, and these open source programs are also very welcoming to everyone. So it is a good opportunity for you all. And there already been several batches of projects which have been released, which you can refer to on the website that on the link that I shared previously. So as of today, I guess only currently one project is open for you guys. The rest of the project, I think the next project is probably ending its application by 12 June. So if you guys are able to apply to it, then it'll be really good. And then next, why ESOC? So I'll basically start with why you should get into open source rather than why ESOC specifically. So speaking about ESOC, so if you get to completely immerse yourself into the open source ecosystem of Europe, not only other countries but Europe in specific, because these countries in Europe which are organizing this are mainly involved in the European Union. So that is why it is called as European Summer of Code. And these are projects largely in the field of AIML because the hubs which are organizing it are AIML companies. And most of these are really good companies involved in deep tech research and all that. So, yeah, you'll get to meet a lot of new developers and industry leaders as well. So, moving on, you can get on hands on industry experience and engage in mentorship with top AI developers and leaders in Europe, along with the generous stipend. So right now, from what I've heard, the stipend is around 4,800 euros, which is a huge amount, especially for a country like India. So yeah, this is again a very good opportunity, and this stipend amount is much higher than other open source programs. So yeah, again, that is why ESOC is kind of an what do you say, jackpot, you could say, considering other open source programs. And it is over 3 months, like other programs, 3 months or 350 hours, you could say. So some organizations in ESOC include Probable. So you guys might have heard of scikit-learn. So scikit-learn is a famous Python package, and it is the most widely used package for ML. So that the parent organization of that package called Probable is also participating in ESOC. There is SK Time, the organization I'm a part of, and Electrolux, which is a large electrical appliances company. They are also researching a lot of stuff in AML, so they are also a part of ESOC. So yeah, these are some of the many organizations which are a part of this program, and there are many more coming into the fold. So yeah, just keep yourself updated with the website and whatever organizations do join the program. So now I'll talk about why open source. Why should you as an individual contribute to open source, and is it worth it? Right. So considering two major points that I'll be covering here is exposure and the community. So exposure. So with open source, you can expose yourself to cutting edge technology, which is basically referring to the latest in technology, AIML, and other technology in general, not just AIML. You can, contribute to web development as well, app development, and many other domains. So most of these code bases which are in open source right now are industry grade, which means that they are being worked upon by actual software developers with tens of, if not like decades of experience together. So, if you work on these code bases, it not only means that you get a chance to contribute, but you also vastly improve your understanding, and also it lets you get into the habit of coding with good practices, and also give a valuable experience to show for when applying for jobs and placements, right? Because open source is something that quite a few people do right now. It's not a lot of, it's not something like DSA, which everyone does and gets a job. So if you do end up doing open source, at least for placements, it's a good, it's like a unique first selling point for your profile. So yeah, I think in that way, open source is really good for exposure. Moving on to the second point, which is the community. So, community-wise, open source, like let's say we have a set of organizations, right? So each of these organizations have certain groups or communities with thousands of people in them. So these people are mostly contributors like you, or they might be again the maintainers of the organization, with whom you can have a chat with. You can understand how the code base works, and they are very helpful. So if you're stuck, you can always ask for help, and that is one very good thing about the open source community because they are very helpful at all times. And sometimes, if your contributions are really good, they can even lead to job offers. And I've seen it with some people in my college as well. So they ended up landing jobs in these organizations thanks to their contributions. So yeah, these are some good things about open source. And how is, let me just talk about how is ESOC compared to GSOC and other open source programs. So, from what I've talked with my seniors and other people in the space, so this program is like you could say around 80%, 90% similar to GSOC, but and it has a higher stipend as well, as I mentioned before. But the thing is, GSOC again is very old. It's almost 20 years and running, so it is very well known. And ESOC is just in its first year, so you might not expect a very smooth organization. Currently, it's been fine, but as more organizations join, there might be some struggles. But that should not hinder your, application. So you can expect the same application and similar things like that. So the work experience is the same as GSOC and ESOC, and you can expect the same amount of recognition from people once you cleared ESOC and been selected for a project. So even though the number of organization project is also much lesser, currently it's only limited to AML sadly. If it was more, then obviously it would have been better. But since it's in its first year and most of the organizations handling it are in the AIML domain, so we can only expect AIML projects for now. So also, it was also announced recently that there will be projects released on a rolling basis for ESOC. So you can stay tuned for more updates on that. I would probably expect more projects to come out in June or July in the coming months, basically, because they are getting around one project a month and they take in around 1 to 3 people per organization. So the competition is also really high because there are around 2,000 people who applied for it in the last 4 months, according to what I heard from my mentor. So yeah, the competition is quite high as well. So that is one thing that you should keep in mind. And yeah, now I'll just talk to you about another aspect which I not mentioned here. So there's for ESOC, at least for my project, there were two things that I had to do for getting selected. So the first thing was there was an application form. Again, it's on the website link which I shared. So the application form basically contained details about your interests, what are your interested organizations from the list of organizations they mentioned, and you have to state reasons as to why you like open source, why are you interested in this field, and so on. After filling the application form, they vet your application form and then you move on to the second round, which is the proposal stage. So in the proposal stage, most of the people qualify for the proposal stage. It's not a big deal. In the proposal stage, at least in my organization, you have to make a GSOC style proposal. Again, I can send resources for such proposals later. I can even share my proposal if you want. But yeah, so the proposal basically focuses on the work that you'll be doing over the next 3 months of the project, and also it highlights your interest in the project as well, so that the mentor knows about what you are going to be doing in the next 3 months. This is similar to what is done in GSOC as well. So yeah, you can refer to sample GSOC proposals from the past, like 5 to 10 years, for an idea about how it works. After you submit your proposal, so next they'll again review your proposal and you'll get an email saying that you're qualified for the interview round. The interview round basically consisted of a technical round and a round where they ask you basic questions about Git, open source, GitHub, and all that. So apart from that, basically it consists of 3 stages. I would rate it around medium level. It wasn't too hard. If you worked on the project for long, so I don't think it'll be very hard. But yeah, getting started would be a little bit difficult. So that is one barrier you might face getting started with a project. So yeah, that was my experience with ESOC from my side. And now I'll just give you guys a general overview of how open source works, especially for new people in this meeting. So basically, open source, as you guys might have heard, it is a very hot topic nowadays. You guys might have heard of things, LLM models itself, like DeepSeek, Llama, being open source, right? So these are open source technologies. And now let's talk about what does it even mean to get open source. So open source is basically a term that refers to some sort of open source software which everyone can access. It can be modified, can be distributed as you see fit. No one's restricting you from accessing it. You can run it on your computer. You can use it however you want. You can even modify it. And yeah, that's basically it. As you can see here, Linux is a famous open source project. It is based on the Linux operating system. So yeah, you guys might have heard of these two, obvious, if you've been in touch with the latest of open source. So yeah, so now I just talk about this in general because I think it's a good starting point for you before you get into see these open source programs like ESOC and GSOC. So yeah, for a newcomer, one of the most popular places to get started with open source is GitHub, and most of the famous open source organizations post their repositories on GitHub because GitHub is the most famous place. Also, they're owned by Microsoft, so they have a very good integration with VS Code as well, which most of you guys might be using. So it is a really good place to run your open source projects. And GitLab is another popular alternative for open source contributions, although it is lesser used. and it is mainly used by large companies for things like more aligned towards DevOps and things like that. And it is more complex than GitHub. So GitLab is another popular alternative, as I just mentioned previously, and it's not as what do you say widely used as GitHub for these uh, open source programs like GitHub and open source programs like CSOC and ESOC, right? So next, finding the right organization to contribute. So this is the main step in your open source journey. This is something that many people have already asked me before as well, and even I have asked this to my seniors before. And this is just like a summary of whatever I've understood from how you should find the right organization for your skill set. So you might find out that there's thousands, if not lakhs, of open source repositories out there, and not all of these might be the right fit for you. Doesn't mean that you just go around searching for one and then you just go into the repo and try to contribute. It won't happen in a day. You need to spend some time with it, obviously. So especially the most famous repos are large, long-standing projects, and they have strict guidelines, right? Contribution guidelines. So as a beginner, even valid contributions can take months to get reviewed and merged. So this will probably be frustrating for many people. So I would recommend beginners to stay away from these large repos. If you're comfortable with it already, I would recommend probably going to try like these contributing to these large ones, because if you do contribute, then it's really good because it will be a nice what do you say section on your resume saying that you contributed to these large projects. So some of the large projects that I'm referring to here is PyTorch, JAX, Rocket Chat, etc. These are some organizations which are also there in GSOC, and they have some connections with ESOC, not fully, but yeah, these are some of the large projects that might be available in these open source programs. Right. So right now, I'll just take you to a step-by-step process of how you can find an organization and you can contribute. If you follow these steps, you can probably do it within a day. You can probably, go ahead with these steps in a day or two as well. So there is a lot of text here. Do not worry about it. I can even share the PPT later so that you guys can read through it properly. Yeah. So first, I'll take you through step one. So you begin with choosing a domain that you're genuinely interested in, as you'll spend a lot of time learning and working on it. Uh, doesn't mean that you force yourself to find some random skill set, say web dev, and then just decide to, start contributing immediately. You have, try to explore as much as you can. You might not be guaranteed to find the right, what do you say, your skill set or the domain that you like in the beginning, but as soon as you get it, so try to learn as much as you can in that field and then move on to open source whenever you feel like it. So for example, if you're into ML, and then you have to ensure that your basics are clear. You should obviously ensure that you know Python really well and also some basic ML concepts, so that you can get started without any hassle, or again come back and try to revise your concept. So uh, choosing a domain that you're genuinely interested in is one aspect that you should take care of. And also, next, so basically, this is the stage. This is also another stage where you have to search for the project, right? So, searching for projects, obviously, you can just do a Google search or GitHub search. Then GitHub has a nice search bar where you can just search in the domain that you like, and then you'll get a list of hundreds, if not thousands, of repositories on the topic. So if you're applying for next year's GSOC or ESOC, you can ideally start searching around November or December, because if you start early, you'll be ahead of a lot of other contributors, and you can spend around 3 to 4 months on the repository trying to understand the work going there, so that you can contribute quickly and effectively, and increase your chances to getting selected into GSOC/ESOC. And next is, once you search a project, you have to pick a repo. You just don't pick any repo, right? Let's say you just find some repo from like 10 years ago where no work is happening. You might find the idea interesting, but it doesn't mean that you just pick the repo just because it looks good. Sometimes the repo might not have a commit from the past 4 to 5 months or years as well. So these have a very less chance of being active, and it means that they're very stable and mature. So there's no chance of contributing to them. So I would say prioritize those GitHub organizations involved in programs like GSOC or ESOC. Uh, the organization I'm working in, SK Time. So my journey basically ended up being such that I had actually tried for SK Time in GSOC, but sadly they didn't turn up in GSOC. So that organization again decided to start a new program which is ESOC, and they were a part of that. So I just automatically transitioned to that. And I myself had started around November and December. uh, I started going through repositories and I found SK Time and I thought it was interesting. So I would recommend you to probably stick to this time frame if you want to increase your chances to getting selected. Right. So next I'll be telling you about how once you select an organization, how do you contribute? Right. So step four. So once you get the organization on your plate, uh, the first ideal logical thing that anyone would do is obviously go to the issues tab and look at what issues they have open, right? So the issues GitHub issues tab is basically like a tab on GitHub where they list all their issues and all the problems that the repo might be facing. So once you get into the issues tab, you will notice a list of hundreds of issues, right? So rather than going through all of these, it might be intimidating in the start. It's better to join the project's community. Normally, most of these organizations have their communities on Discord or Slack. They'll have a link on their documentation page or something like that, which you can just join and you can introduce yourself there, ask questions, understand how the repo works. Take probably like 2 to 3 days or a week to understand how the repo works and see if it's the right fit for you. If not, just move on. Don't try to stick around there if you do not like the work being that's going on over there. Just move on and try to find more repos. This is what I did. In my experience, I had gone through around 5 to 6 repos before I find my fit. So yeah, it's normal to just keep searching for more and more repos until you find the right one. And yeah, this is how you can find the repo and the work going on with it. So let's say you found a repo, right? So the next step would obviously be to have a good understanding of the repo, like at least 20%. So let's say there's a repo let's say something like related to web development, right? So let's say React itself. So in the React library, there's some code, like let's say 10 folders of code related to a certain React component, right? If you guys might have worked on React, you probably understand it. If not, it's fine. So you can probably just focus on a small part of the code which you'd like to work on. Something you find interesting. You do not have to go through the whole code base. Just try to understand some part of it. And once you have like a really good understanding of it, nowadays even it's easy to get understanding of code with tools like Copilot and all. So yeah, it's easy to get quickly started with the code base. You can just like ask a chatbot to just read the code and let you understand what's happening there. And yeah, once you have an understanding of the repo, you pick a good first issue which is related to that specific set of code that you've read. So let's say there's an issue in React that uh, some component or some text is not centered properly or something like that, right? So what you do is once you look at the issue, you understand that yeah, I can solve this issue. You have to just center the div or something like that, right? So if the issue states that, you go to the code. Normally, if it's an easy issue, something that can be fixed quickly, it will be labeled with a tag called good first issue. So if you notice this, then you're in for a good, a good experience. It means that you are eligible to take this, and the maintainer will also be very friendly in assigning you the issue as well. I can show the GitHub page where they do all this if you want, if time permits. So yeah, once you ask for an issue, you get assigned to it, and you can start working on it. And also, if they don't respond to you, when you ask for the issue to be assigned to you, do not panic. You can always, ask the maintainers of the repo, or you can wait for some time. If they do not respond in a while, you can again ping them, but don't spam anything. It's bad, right? So just be patient if you don't get the issue that you're assigned to. So also next, once you're assigned an issue, so ask questions respectfully. Like let's say you have a doubt about what should be done, right? So you just write a message, you ping them, you leave it like that for 4 to 5 days, and you wait for them, right? Sometimes they're really active. There, some of the maintainers that I've noticed are hyperactive. They are 24/7 online on the repo. So if that is the case, then it's really good. You can get your issues like clarified immediately. You can clarify your doubts really quick. So as a new contributor, once you start working on the issue, do not use AI. Like I would recommend not to use AI to solve the issue completely without you having zero idea about what code the AI generated. Like you can do this later if you want because you can understand whether the code that the AI is generating is relevant. But for the starting stage, try to write as much code as possible by yourself. Do not rely on Chat GPT or something like that to do everything for you. Yeah. So next step, once you have some code written for you, you basically make a branch. So this is one important thing which I can show to you guys as well. So basically, if you consider GitHub, there'll be a parent repository of the organization that you're working for. So you can make a fork out of this repo, and once you make a fork, you can work on that fork. That fork is basically yours. You can do anything you want on it. You can push any change to it. You can add any change to it. So you make a branch for that specific issue that you created. You make a branch out of it. You mentioned that you may give it like a valid name or something, and you make your contributions there. Once you're done, you can push commits. You can do it. If you're not aware of what I mean by pushing commits, then yeah, it means you might not be aware of Git basically. So I think it'd be a good idea to get started with Git as well before contributing to open source organizations. That is again another story. So that I leave it to you guys. So yeah, again, getting back on track. So once you finish contributing, you push the commits onto your fork of the repo, and this is something called as a pull request. So once you're done, you'll open a PR and you can get this merged completely, right? So once you get the pull request merged, you are done. It'll get reviewed, and yeah, again, once it's merged, be happy you just got a load of your code merged into the repo and you have a successful contribution. So yeah, that's the entire process of how you contribute. So for beginners, I hope this was helpful. These steps are helpful for new for people who are experienced. Yeah, maybe this might have been boring, but yeah, it's fine. Again, it's good to have a refresh. And yeah, next I'll just talk about some platforms to find open source projects. Right, it's like a summary. You can take a screenshot of this if you want. These are the organizations that I know of. What I've known from my seniors and my batchmates as well. So platforms for finding these are mainly GitHub, GitLab, majorly hacking, MLH.io. That's the website. And mentorship programs, obviously GSOC, the most famous one, LFX, Linux Foundation Mentorship, European Summer of Code, the one I've participated in, MLH again. Summer of Bitcoin, this is also a new one. It's really good. They've taken a lot of people and it's related to blockchain. So if you're interested in that, that is also good. Outreachy, I'm not very sure, but this seems to be good. I've heard like two or three people getting into it. So yeah, that is also something you can try. And this is a link of open source like programs. It's a good GitHub repository on all open source programs, so you can look at it. There's a lot of other links as well. And yeah, this is the summary. And I've listed a few do's and don'ts over here. This is some basic etiquette you follow, and I've made it a point to mention it here because I've seen a lot of people who are impatient and want their issues to be clarified instantly or doubts to be clarified instantly, and they end up making a bad impression on the repository, on the people in the repository because they did not behave themselves right. So the do's and don'ts. So the do's, be regular to community meetups if they happen regularly, and interact with the contributors and developers. Do not shy away, they're very welcoming. I have myself been a part of meetups of several open source repositories, and I've noticed it consistently that they're always welcoming. They do not judge you, and even if your doubt is silly, they'll just consider it to be a beginner doubt, and they don't mind. You can ask them anything you want as long as it's relevant, right? Be polite and patient. Open source is voluntary work. That's the first thing to note. No one is getting paid for open source unless you're a part of open source programs. Obviously, that is separate, but the people who are maintaining repos are doing it. They're taking time out of their days to work on open source, so it is voluntary. Do not expect them to show up. It's not employment, so you do not expect them to show up whenever you ask them to. So again, have a learning mindset. This is not something to be mentioned. It is absolutely necessary in today's technological age, I guess. So yeah, just try to be as open as possible. Take up challenging issues, even if you don't solve them, you do end up learning a lot. So that is one main advice that I can give you. And then do not use informal language while communicating. Open source again is very formal. Try to be as formal as possible while communicating, and try to address them respectfully if they're elder to you, younger to you, it doesn't matter. So do not spam or irritate other contributors. They might not respond due to time zone differences because they might be in a separate part of the world. So just be as polite and patient as possible. Again, as I mentioned before. So also, irrelevant or poorly formatted contributions can be flagged and leave a bad impression, right? So just read the contributing guide to a repository whenever you start. Do not like directly jump in and just like type out whatever comes to your mind and then open an issue and then say that why is this wrong? Why am I not being recognized? Like don't expect them to point it out to you. It's your responsibility to ensure that you follow every guideline that they mentioned. That's the reason why the contributing guide exists. So I think this contributing guide part is very common. It's there in almost all open source repos, at least the big ones, and those in GSOC and ESOC. So I think this is another good advice I can give you when it comes to contributing. So yeah, that's most of it. Thank you guys. That's my presentation. You can have resources that are listed here. And you can also contact me whenever you want. I'm open on these channels. You can also contact me on my WhatsApp number. It's in my portfolio website. You can just log into that website and find my number there. Yeah, apart from that, these are some resources. If you guys do want me to take a walkthrough of how you make a contribution on GitHub, I can do that now, but I don't think there's time for it. There's 20 minutes left. If you have any questions, please do ask me. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, Pranav.
Yeah, hello.
Pranav, could you please
Yeah.
share the presentation afterwards so
Yeah,
that
yeah, I'll
it will
share
be
it.
helpful?
Yeah, yeah, I'll share it to the organizer. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
do that.
and can you please send the resources of the repository which contain everything about the open source program in the meeting chat section so that we can bookmark it?
I'll do that right now. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So if you anyone else have questions, I can even give you a walkthrough of how it works on GitHub as well. If you do want that, do let me know right
Hello.
now. Okay. Yeah.
I do have several questions. So,
Yeah.
before getting into the organization, before getting contributing into this, like, did you have a prior contributions into this SK time?
Yeah. As I said, it took me around 2 to 3 months. I contributed regularly for 2 to 3 months before getting applying for ESOC. So I had
Hmm.
quite a bit of experience beforehand. So it did help me. I had started out not for ESOC. I didn't even know it existed because it was very new, right?
Hmm.
So I had basically started doing open source out of genuine interest. Like I just took it up because everyone else was doing it around me. So I was like, why not do it? And I just ended up ESOC just came in my way. I guess luck is also an important factor. I guess when it comes to these open source programs. So
So, like when they select students for contributing into their organization, do they like
yeah.
the proposal when they select the proposal? Does that proposal have like 80% of weightage carried of like for the quality of the proposal, and 20% is reserved for if like whether they have prior contribution to the organization? Does this have such criteria or not?
It depends, right? In my organization, at least it was 50-50, I guess, because they did
Hmm.
prioritize a lot of prior contributions. Because right now with AI, you can just like make a proposal in like a matter of half an hour, right? You can just like tell it that this is the idea, this is the project idea, you can just like make a proposal for me. It will do it for you. So I think nowadays, at least over the last 1-2 years, your prior contributions do matter a lot because of how prevalent AI is. You
Because,
can just like
like
plagiarize it.
when
Yeah.
I was going through the projects that are currently live in
Yeah.
ESOC, so there is only
Yeah.
one project, and that too, like it requires like at least one PR in like maybe in SK time or in another organization. So like if I have my PR raised in those organization, then only I can
Yeah,
apply to the that organization.
yeah,
So it was
yeah,
Electrolux, I remember, Casual AI with Time series. And
yeah,
it is difficult because the project is itself very advanced. It is
yeah.
and it like I felt really overwhelming because uh, it is very advanced one, and raising a PR into those organization is another battle. So yeah. So how did you start and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I think there's one small issue with ESOC right now, okay? Because let's say you are applying for GSOC, right? You are aware that you are sure that GSOC will happen in the year that you're going to apply. So let's say in 2026 you're going to apply, so you can start very early with it, right? But in ESOC, since it's very new and projects are coming out in a rolling basis, right? So there is an issue that you might not end up with the right project. Like
Hmm.
you won't have enough time to contribute, and it's the same for everyone. So I would not say like don't get disheartened that it's hard. Try as much as you can. Make a small PR if possible, because there's more projects coming out. Don't restrict yourself to this. Try to
Hmm.
stay active with the updates, I guess.
Yeah.
It might be hard, obviously, to do it in a week's
Yeah,
time.
and
Since
it's
today
like
it's 7th
I
and
really
the
felt that
project is
GSOC is,
deadline on 12th, right?
yeah, yeah, and I really felt that GSOC is, one level below. It is all
Yeah, I
about
mean
the,
that is only
huge amount of
yeah,
work they are giving. That also is the point, and the organization are good. It is very good, obviously. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it's mainly AI, right? So it will be a little hard, I guess. So I would say just try your best. If you're interested in AI, it's a really good opportunity. But if you're interested in other fields, you're not forced to do it. Again, I mentioned other things that like you can see it on my screen. Like it's this things like VSOC, LFX as well. If you're interested in OS and low level development and all that. So yeah, so you can try all of those as well. LFX has rolling applications as well. Like it's not just in the summer. You can apply
Mhm.
later as well. So I would
And in
suggest
your
you to
case,
apply
it
to all of
was
these.
like you were aiming for GSOC, but you got ESOC because of contributing for 2 months to that organization. It helped some or the other way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, the story was GSOC. SK time was in GSOC last year, so I tried
Mhm.
for that, aiming for the SK time. But thing is, they did not get in this year. I don't know for what reason, but yeah.
Mhm.
So since they did not come into GSOC, they decided to start their own program. Probably, yeah. That's why the head of SK time is the one who's responsible for ESOC. So that was. Yeah. Okay, someone's asking me, can you show an example of how we actually contribute to a project? Okay, I'll do that for you. So, yeah, I'll just share the right now. Okay. Can you see the new the GitHub tab?
Ah, yes.
You can see it, right? Okay. So let's say uh, you're interested in. I'll just do what I did usually, right? So also one more thing I forgot to mention for you guys is do take part in Hacktoberfest. It's a open source program. Again, it's free for everyone. There's no application, nothing. You can just dive into it. It's happens in the month of October. I did do it, and it helped me start with my first PR over there because they have like a point system for the number of PRs that you create. So Hacktoberfest is also a really good starting point. I forgot to mention it in the slide, so I just mentioned it now. Yeah, okay, I'll just show it to you guys. So let's say I spare time, right? So this is the org I apply to. So you can search anything. Can you even search machine learning in time series? So let's say you have some domain interest in mind. I'm just doing this because I know how the entire process works from at least this side. So machine learning time series, you can see all these organizations, right? TS Learn, TSAI, so many other. Right. So you can go to any of these. You can go to a lot of these. This many organizations. Try to find ones which have huge stars as well, because these are ones which are reputed and you can contribute to them well. You can contribute to them nicely. It will make sense to contribute to these organizations, not to personal projects of other people. So as you can see here, this is a new kind of repo. I would suggest to uh, contribute to projects which have like a star range of around 500, 1K range, like 1,000 stars or something. Because from my experience, like these are the ones which are very new and they're welcome to new contributors and add new features to the repo as well. So let's go through some issues here. I don't see a lot of tags over here, so let's see if there's a good first issue. Yeah, there is a good first issue. So when you come onto the repo, you see a lot of these things, right? These are what do you say? They look intimidating. You see CSCD, you see all of these, like they don't make any sense. So what you would first do it, logic using is good first issue. So you filter when you apply this. So you see that there's no good first issue. If you see that there's no good first issue, I would suggest just to leave the repo, because it means that they're not welcome to new contributor. So I would then probably just go to another organization. I'll just go to mine because mine has a lot of good first issues. I'll just show it works. So this is the organization I am working for currently. You can go here. You can go to issues. You see a lot of these issues being created here. Just go there, filter for good first issue, and it will show up, right? So you can go through any of these. Most of these are documentation related. I wouldn't recommend contributing to mine specifically because you might not be interested in this, but I'm just showing it for the sake of the demonstration. So you can go to any good first issue like this. This is documentation, right? You can just go to the page. There's some person here who says, I would like to work on this issue. And this is the maintainer. He is assigned to it to him. You can see that the conversation is already, it's very polite. So try to be as polite as possible. And yeah, you can just like keep asking questions back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes there'll be issues picked by people, but they'll abandon it after a while. You can even pick up those. You can just ask the maintainer of the repo to assign it to you, and he'll assign it. It will show up here. I don't think they've assigned anyone. It's fine. If you're assigned, your name will show up here. And yeah, you make a PR. So once you make a PR, it shows up here. So this is the PR which fixes this issue, right? So yeah, basically you write some code, you show up in the PR. It looks complex, that is fine. I just again with demonstration sake. So yeah, once all these tests pass, normally most of these big repos, at least for ESOC, have a test pipeline and all that here. So they require all these tests to run and all that. Again, it'll be complex. It will take time to understand. So don't get intimidated. Yeah, this is the entire process of how you contribute to a repo. You start with finding an issue, spend some time, take like a week, take like 2 weeks, doesn't matter. Try to understand it as best as possible, and then you move on to whatever contribution you want to make. So yeah, that's the process of how it goes. You can maybe try other repos as well, but for now I'll just show this. Is that okay? Do you need anyone else have questions?
We have a question from Shreya, like what was the time gap between the application process and proposal stage? So is it been covered?
No, yeah, I'll explain. I don't think I covered that part. Yeah, thanks for noting that. Yeah. So between the application process, from my side, I'll just open the website and show it to you, I guess. They have all the dates written there. So it varies from organization to organization. Yeah, so this is the website again. So you can see the timeline over here. Yeah. So application normally, so once the project is released, after 3 weeks after it is released, there's an application deadline. So again, you have a 3 week time gap to apply to find out if you like the project or not. And then 2 weeks after that, so T plus 4 to 5 weeks, 2 weeks after the application deadline, They'll review your projects within 2 weeks. They'll come back to you. They'll reply to you on mail, and then there'll be an interview round. The interview round will be like 1 hour long interview, 1 hour, 20 minutes to 1 hour. Once that is done, they'll again review your application, your proposal, your interview, and the final results will come out. Yeah. So it takes around a month, the entire process. Hope that's clear.
Nice. And I have one question, Pranav. Just like in GSOC, we have like if we are a contributor in this year, maybe if we contribute to a project for a very long time, introduce a lot of features. So next year we can be the mentor, and maybe after contributing 2 or 3 years, maybe we can get the become the project maintainer in GSOC, right?
Yeah.
So
You do the
is
same
this
here as
is
well.
this the same thing follows in ESOC? Like if we contribute to a project for like 1 or 2 years intensively, so we get the chance to become mentor here.
Yeah, it's again it depends on the policy of the organization. But yeah, at least my organization, since it's not very strict, they do welcome new contributors. If you participate in ESOC or GSOC for that organization, they'll give you a chance to become a maintainer or a core developer. So you'll have all access to everything, every part of the repo. So yeah, you can
Okay,
become a mentor for the next edition of the program.
nice. And as there is a very large community for GSOC contributors, suppose if anyone wants to start in GSOC, they can find any past mentee of any particular organization on LinkedIn and they can reach out to them over there. But for ESOC, I have also searched on LinkedIn, but I'm able to found only 3 or 4 people who have been a contributor in ESOC. So how we can find other contributors? Is there any directory for all the contributors of all the project that is listed here or there?
Yeah, so since it's new, that's the main issue with it, right? It's hard to get started with it. See, in my experience, I think I was really lucky because I tried for the same organization in GSOC and it turned out to be that it came in ESOC. I had people who did it last year, so their policy was the same. Even I had used the proposal of a mentee from last year who'd been in GSOC, and I had given and made the same proposal for ESOC as well. Since the format is the same, that part is not something I have to worry about if the organization is overlapping with both GSOC and ESOC. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's hard to find previous contributors since there wasn't a previous edition. Current contributors, they might not even have LinkedIn, I guess, because some of these organizations go so deep that PhD candidates are getting selected, I guess, like one or two of them. Not all of them, don't worry about that. But yeah, LinkedIn wise, I guess there's 5 to 6 people that even I've connected with. So I think not a lot of people. Till now, only 10 people have been selected for ESOP.
So
So
this is the
the
first edition,
community is
right?
small. Yeah, so the community is quite small.
Okay, and we have a
Yeah.
question from Divya, like you are into ML, and what resources or like the approach you suggest to the people who are just getting started into ML or who are not into ML but want to explore the field? So how they can start? Because there are a lot of resources on YouTube. A lot of people advise them to follow certain course, certain playlist, or follow the documentation. So what thing worked for you, and do you have any resources which which you would like to share with the people who want to start?
Yeah. So let's say it would depend on your level, obviously. So if you're an absolute beginner, I would suggest this book, Introduction. One second, I'll just go to the top. Introduction to Hands-on. It's called Hands-on Machine Learning. This book right here. You can download a free PDF, I guess. It will be there. Download PDF. So yeah. So this book is really good. I had started with this almost like around 8 months ago, 8 to 9 months ago. So this book, it's really good for introductory ML. With TensorFlow, it doesn't use PyTorch. That is fine. You just get to understand the basics and everything. And for tutorials, I would recommend this organ. It's called Fast AI. So this is really good. If you are trying for all fields, let's say you're trying for computer vision, anything in ML, I can talk about ML mainly. I don't know about other fields. Maybe web dev as well if you want that. But for ML, this is really good. This is for deep learning mainly. If you're into the deep learning side of things, for classical ML, I would suggest this book right here, Hands-on Machine Learning. For deep learning, this is really good. It gets starts from scratch. Fast AI tutorials. Yes, yeah, this is a course, yeah. So it'll start from the scratch. It'll teach you everything. It's a read, so it's not a video. Videos, I'm not sure of them. Most you can probably follow Free Code Camp or other resources, but apart from that, yeah, I think these two are really good resources for this ML side of
Oh,
things.
amazing.
I'll just
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, I
I'll
hope
just put
Divya and
a
Bhumi, your questions were answered. So if you have any more questions, you can ask. Otherwise, I want to know, Pranav, last year you were the winner of ETH India, right? Under
yeah,
polygon category. So, what do you suggest, like, to if anyone wants to participate in ETH India, and like there are a lot of bounties, there are a lot of tracks, so how we should approach it, and any tips to crack ETH India, because ETH India, like in ETH India, the competition is really high.
yeah. So with Eat India, I'll just tell you my experience there. So I had started, or I basically I'm not into blockchain at all, right? So it was a pure learning experience over there. I had learned blockchain in like a week or so. I hadn't gone into the basics. I just like learned the bare minimum required to build an app completely. Things like Solidity, if you're aware of it, like all those basics, not too deep into blockchain. So I can't fully like don't go through my experience completely because I'm not a blockchain dev, right? So there's another side of people in East India who did really well under blockchain devs. So basically my team, so there's a team of 5 people. So in my team, we basically split the effort for the project, right? Since the competition is very high, there's something called sponsor track. So you'll have various sponsors. You have to align your project to those sponsors, right? So what I basically did was we tried to integrate around 5 to 6 sponsors. We try to only like split work in such a way that none of our work overlaps with the other, so that it's more as efficient as possible. So I learned just enough blockchain and Ethereum, the ecosystem, so that I could implement like around 4 to 5 features into the app. And the main thing is the idea. The idea should be really good. They should be sold to the idea. Many people might integrate, make the app look very fancy. They'll add UI, blockchain, all of that, all the features, but it might not have a good selling point, right? So the idea is the main thing. Again, coming to the idea, it takes time to come up with the idea. We applied for ETH a month before, and we had help from our college seniors as well. So they did, uh, you know, propose some starting points, and the starting points ended up being helpful. So yeah,
Amazing.
I think try to take help from seniors and people who already done East India before. Yeah,
Amazing. So thank you so much, Pranav, for coming and for sharing all the insights and valuable knowledge regarding open source and ESOP and for
yeah,
answering all the questions.